handle. I'm pretty deep. Yeah, I'm pretty deep here, so. All right, so right here we're doing a French drain install. We're gonna go over that really quickly, but I'm gonna go over kind of more in detail the flow well or the dry well catch basin with the 3/4 horsepower pump. Stay tuned to the end of the video because I want to discuss, you know, the horsepower and all that stuff in the pump, but I also really want to show you why the previous French drain failed, because I wish I had some photos of this job before and how much water this whole backyard used to pond up. But stay tuned to the end, you'll see. You got to just keep going, and you see I'm down to the white sand now. So I've already hit water, but we need to get a lot of void in this thing. And these are going to be sending water in, sending water in, sending water in, and then we're going to pump it back out and dry up this whole area. But this trench right here, we got water running from right to left into this hole in front of this shed, and water sits there and pools there and takes up half the yard. So water's going to flow into this, and then we're going to pump it back out in that same trench down to an existing catch basin that runs all the way across the front yard into the street. Boom. And that's about the height of my shovel, probably about 4.5, 5 feet. And you can see these two little lines right here. We're gonna have kind of a spider leg come off with a catch basin on each one of those, collecting water. Enough yet. And it's gonna come from there down into here, and then we're gonna pump it back out to the existing French drain catch basin. And then get out of there. And then there's a couple little pockets in the lawn there we're filling out to push water closer here. Here I'm showing you the trench. We have a lot of roots. We had to cut tons of roots out. Tessa actually dug this trench. It's a pretty badass trench. But this pipe here is all going to be solid pipe, so roots don't really get in there. There's Tessa digging the trench right there. This is all seeded grass that we seeded for the customer last year. Handle. I'm pretty deep. Yeah, I'm pretty deep here, so digging up this old French drain to put our system in, and look what we found here. We found pipe, old pipe. We hit limestone outside of the fabric. Okay, so they put a sock on, those Home Depot socks that you can get for the pipe, and then they wrapped it in landscape fabric, and this stuff doesn't really drink water very fast. And then they put the stone in on the outside of the fabric, and then it looks like they punched their own holes in here. So I cut a section out, and looky what we have here. Look at that, completely packed up. So, and the problem is that they just what they did was oh man, come on guys. What they did was put the stone outside the fabric. That's the problem here. So I'm gonna snake this out, because this part from that catch basin on to the street is actually still good. So we're just gonna clean that out. Crazy, man. All right, so right here we got the two inlets coming in from other wet parts of the lawn into the dry well. We got the one on the right side of the screen, still on the right side of the screen. That's a French drain collecting water from the subsurface. And here's the discharge line that runs across the back lawn into an existing catch basin that runs from the backyard across the front lawn into the street. And then here I'm just testing it. The water is running pretty good, nothing like a storm, but you see the pump kick on, it sucks that out pretty quick. There's lots of void in here, so the customer has no problems. So I called the customer the other day to see how this French drain and pump system was working, and he was ecstatic. He said that we've had torrential downpours over there, and where it used to be a lake now doesn't even build up. I made the dry well basin wider at the bottom so it could collect a lot of water before that pump kicks on. Because one thing you don't want is you don't want that pump kicking on, shutting off, kicking on, shutting off. They have a cycle limit, so they're set to cycle on and off a certain amount of times before they pretty much reach failure. So it collects a lot of water, and then the pump kicks on, and then it stays on until that water is gone. If it's still raining, once that water's gone, it will fill back up, and then it will kick back on. But that thing moves a lot of water. That's a very long discharge line, and it's buried, and I didn't want any maintenance issues down the line. So we use a really nice, very flexible pipe that's not rigid, but it's also strong enough to where if somebody drives over it, it's not going to get destroyed. We also, instead of using a 1/4 horsepower or 1/2 horsepower, we use a 3/4 horsepower pump. The pump is meant for being in dirty situations like this. It's not a basement pump. So there was about 3.5 foot of lift that I had to, power. And then it had to go, I think, 45 foot of discharge. We used a 3/4 inch discharge line. And then it's just a lot of water. That dry well is collecting a lot of water. But this is how I know that the foundation, the groundwork was done right, because even after the customer accidentally ran over the one little part that sticks out of the lawn, we were supposed to put a rock over it, something to hide it, but there was no really rocks available. But it's pretty much the maintenance portion of the dry well. He ran over that, and it shot like a 35-foot geyser. So we're going back to repair that. He unplugged the pump, and then we had more torrential downpours, and he said the whole system still keeps up with it. So moral of the story here is, if you're ever doing a pump to get rid of water, you want to make sure that you still make that a functioning dry well. You don't want to just dig a hole in the ground and have no aggregate, no perforations for water just to sit. You need some way for that water to get out without a pump. But anyways, that was the most recent French drain install.